been reading the These Are the Voyages, the Star Trek, all deep behind the scenes. I thought I was a Star Trek nerd, but man, when I started reading this, I was like, wow, there's like 7 more levels. And this is a scene from behind the scenes. They went back. This is one of their sort of rehearsals, and they actually colorized it because it was before color film. And this was one of the tests, which is actually what got Lucille Ball to go ahead and get into it, because she said, yeah, it looks like a party. I'm into it. You know, at the time, George Lucas was just a kid, so he was doing whatever he could to get things off the ground, so he started this sort of naked Boba Fett waiter and stormtrooper pool cleaning thing. And you know, it's amazing that he was able to wipe this out of history, yet people still have the Wookiee Christmas on DVD, you know. And I asked him recently when we were hanging out, what would you rather have done? And he said, I would have left this up if I would have known how many people would have watched the Wookiee Christmas. And so, you know, his cat felt the same thing. His cat used to ride the dog. The dog was actually named Chewbacca before before the movie came out, and actually this was an original inspiration for the CAT scan. And so yeah, I know, but it really happened. And you know, if you go back to the original inspiration of the CAT scan being inspired from Chewbacca, you'll start to understand how we learned a lot of things about science from science fiction. For instance, the amazing turd monster. James Cameron, when he went down to the Mariana Trench, you know, he wanted to discover, see, you thought he was discovering unknown places, but he was actually answering that question, where my doo-doo go? Because, you know, as any kids will ask, you know, when I flush the toilet, I know this is terrible, but anyway, we just had to reveal that there are these questions that have been answered that he said, maybe we don't need to know about that. And, well, some things man was not meant to know, and, you know, if he would have went any deeper, he would have found out some even more horrible things than the duty monster. So, once he was revealed, the different places like Dunwich and Raleigh started to sink even deeper, and then up come these things that were buried long before. And here, you know, at one time, things like houses and roads were science fiction, and John Steinbeck, as a time traveler, actually went back to when these things did not actually exist and wrote about them, had a few beverages, came back to the future and wrote about them as if they were normal. And here we don't bat an eye at the amazing stories of Mr. Steinbeck. And what a long road it's been. Over the many years of time traveling and science fiction and just the flux nature of reality, we've abandoned certain outposts. And if you go hiking far enough in one direction, you will discover some of these anomalies. Though I don't suggest that you do it. Stick to the path. When you leave the path, you discover horrible things, because I'm not even going to tell you about the razor blades and pool of alcohol at the bottom of this slide. And neither will old Gil. This is another thing. This is another thing they discovered. Lilliputians had a very, very short attention span. Not to get into the pun realm, but you know, these little people, they tied up Gulliver and then everybody split, and there's, you know, Jack, Larry, and Harry over there, and they were left, hey, when are they coming back? So some people just started painting Gulliver, and Mr. Swift wrote about it, another time traveler. So, you know, if you get into science fiction and writing, these are dangerous paths, and you can't unlearn the things that you've learned. So, I just want to urge all of you that if you want to keep your sanity, maybe stick to more terrestrial ideas like Well, God, I don't know of any, honestly. I've been bitten by the bug. It's just one big maelstrom behind here. You don't even want to know. I don't sleep anymore. I just turn into a different person, and this is all the fault of science fiction. You know, D&D may lead you into Satanism and the occult, but science fiction will unwrap your entire reality. I can't tell you how many times I met my mother at a concert, and when I started making moves on her, my hands started disappearing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my mother. So, you know, the mind is a terrible thing, let me just say that. And everything that exists here is going to go away, and it's all our fault anyway. So the best thing you can do, and this is my advice from someone who's been there and back, is, you know, just take a moment to be kind to each other, because we're all we've got. So unless you want to end up here, go easy with your science fiction, and tell the truth, and brush your teeth before you go to bed, because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He said, if I would have ever known this would stick, I would have taken that second job. Even people who don't know about Doctor Who know who this guy is. Who's this guy?
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, right. And which doctor is he?
4. The good one.
Yeah. Or, as subsequent doctors will tell you, the only one according to some of these fucking fans. So, despite all the doctors that have come before, old Tom held in there. We've got many a scarfed nerd walking around campus waiting for somebody to notice and give them that knowing nod and glance. And if they ask about it and say, hey, let's hook up and write science fiction together, so help them. They have been warned. Thank you.